Okay, this one's a little bit different, but I guess keeping in the vein of my last video or last video but one, depending on the order I upload them. Um, yeah, so I'm just going to put an open question. Do you think it's possible if you are socio-political minded person, let me put it that way, to avoid the culture wars if you live in the United States or the UK? Do you think it's possible to avoid the culture wars if you are a politically minded person? Because I think it's quite difficult because you'll either be coming on from a point of being woke or progressive, and incidentally, those are often self-described terms, so they're not just pejoratives. Certainly, the former isn't. Or you're coming at a point from criticizing them. Now I haven't been shy about my feelings on woke ideology. I mean everything I say. I think it is problematic. I think it is intolerant. I think it's deceptive. I think it's hypocritical. Um, but I'm also acutely aware of how polarizing politics in general can be. So the things I say in these videos, whilst I'm totally sincere and I mean every word I say, it's not necessarily something I would, bring up in a pub. If I'm drinking with friends, okay, maybe if they're politically minded, we might have this sort of conversation, but it's certainly not something that I would like go to a party and bring up, or like I say, go to a pub and bring up. Not that I go to the pub very much, but you know, it's um, it's something where I feel requires a certain time and place. Now, a YouTube channel where the purpose is to express your views, that's how I see it. I think that's appropriate. I think that's the right context. And if anyone that knows me takes issue with any of these views and they sort of approach me in, outside cyberspace and say, "Oh, Nathan, I saw that video about whatever the issue is," I wouldn't say, "Oh no, that wasn't me." I'd say, "Well, yeah, that's my opinion. That's you know." Um, and I have actually been in that situation once before. A Muslim guy I know took issue with one of my videos on Islamism, and we didn't have a big flaming row or anything like that, but he said something which contradicted one of the points I made, and we had a bit of a exchange, but it was very civil and very, it was in the street, and then he changed the subject, and he wanted to know if I wanted to do some training sessions with him. This guy wasn't a close friend; he was an acquaintance. It was no big deal, but that's just one example of where it's carried on to the outside. I'm a little surprised actually because I've made thousands of videos and I know a lot of people. So I'm a little surprised there hasn't been more outside exposure. Maybe people just haven't seen my videos that know me. Um, that's maybe an area I might want to look at in the future. Because certainly if I was a public figure, I couldn't hide my views. I couldn't have like one face for my YouTube audience and another for my friends and acquaintances. Not that I do, but like I say, it's all down to context. And I imagine a lot of people watching this would feel the same way. You get some people who are like constantly political. I'm pretty political. It is in my blood, but I also know when to switch off. I know when it's important to switch off. Um, but this issue with the culture wars, here's the thing. I've got friends from a wide range of backgrounds. I really do. Um, Left wing and right wing, conservative, liberal, few democratic socialists in the mix there. There's probably even a few communists. I'm certainly not. I have my barriers like everyone else. I'm not going to just be friends with anyone. There will be people whose views I abhor so much that I couldn't be friends with them. That would just be, crossing a threshold that I couldn't go to. I couldn't turn a blind eye, if someone's views were so diametrically opposed to my own that there was just no chance of a halfway point. But I don't want an echo chamber. And I think actually it would be very boring to just have friends and contacts who just saw things exactly as you did. So I don't want that, and I'm quite pleased that I have a diverse range of friends and contacts. Contacts meaning acquaintances. But personally, I'd rather the culture wars didn't exist. I'd rather that we were past that. But the truth is, so long as you get things like critical race theory being pushed, then there's going to be a debate about it because you're going to have a particular ideology that's imposed on tertiary education and beyond. Um, and then it puts people on the defensive because I don't feel like as a straight white guy I need to be the representative of straight white guys. It's not like that. But nevertheless, when I see decent people being unfairly smeared or cancelled, so to speak, I do feel a duty as a educated, open-minded citizen to speak out, for want of a better way to describe it. I feel almost a duty to speak out. Not that I'm the only one. I'm not. And I'm by no means, the most important or anything like that. But I am someone who's quite opinionated. And I just think that it's almost impossible to be interested in social politics and not have a view on the culture wars. I try to avoid them where I can. So I'm not, for example, going to go to, say, a Black Lives Matter page or a third wave feminist page or a Donald Trump supporter page. You see, I'm throwing in left and right there. Um, and just start a little shitstorm for the sake of it because I don't see what that would achieve. I'd just get shouted down. I'd be kicked out. Any points I make would be most likely in trolling because I wouldn't be going to a page like that expecting, you know, civil debate when the whole purpose of a group like that is so partisan. So there'd be no point in it. Now, if comments or views come up on my timeline, I'm talking about Facebook here, I will comment on them, particularly if it's a news item. Um, but yeah, that's my point. I think it's very difficult to avoid. All I would say is this, and I'll close with this. If, like me, you're quite politically minded, it's useful to remember that there is more to life than politics. Now, this is obviously not party politics, this is social politics, and it affects everyone. But I do question people whose whole existence seem to be through the prism of an identity, whatever that might be. So, I identify with the political centre, but I don't kind of put a big badge on my arm, so to speak, saying I am a centrist. It's just something that I am comfortable with. But I do think some people, they think that the whole being is a demographic. Now, that to me says that they have a rather boring personality. If their whole outlook on life is through a demographic, whether it be race, sexual orientation, or sex, gender, it's I accept that for some people, if they had experience of prejudice or discrimination, then certainly it's been influential in their life. I appreciate that. If you have been a victim of a serious racist attack when you were young, or maybe you were a victim of racial bullying in your school, or let's say you've been raped, obviously those things are going to have an impact on your outlook of life. It would be impossible not to. But I think this gets into a realm of what do you want to own and what do you want to reject. You know, if you allow a negative experience to cloud everything, then you end up, it's self-destructive, I think. It's self-destructive. This is not to say that negative experiences are completely useless. They can be constructive insofar as building something out of it. building an outlook to help others, maybe educating others. But when it starts becoming your whole identity, just that's what I love about woke culture, because it is very much about pigeonholing people. You're a straight white guy, you're a lesbian black woman, you're Asian American woman, you are um, a gay Hispanic man, whatever it might be. And all those things might be true to someone's reality, but there's more to them. So the gay Hispanic man might, for example, be a big fan of football, right? Um, the black lesbian woman might, I don't know, she might be a fan of Russian literature. These are just random examples. The straight white guy, uh, he's not going to be defined by being straight white or a guy, right? So people who think that that is their whole thing, I think they're shooting themselves in the foot. By all means, identity shouldn't be dismissed, because we are diverse as people. There is different backgrounds to people, but when you start getting into a realm of it's your own, like, your nationality or your sexual orientation or your race, etc., is the only thing that defines you, that's problematic. I mean, I'm British, I'm a Westerner, I'm white, I'm a guy, I'm straight. Those things are all true, and they all matter in some way or another. Well, not the white thing and not the straight thing. The other things perhaps cloud my, or let's say influence my judgment on some level. I mean, as a Westerner, I look at things very much through the prism of liberal democracy and Western values. If I'd grown up in China, maybe I would be looking at things in a very different way. I'd be looking at the collective. I'd be looking at the social stability and stuff like that. So, of course, background is influential. But anyway, I'm gonna wrap this up. All I would say is, don't shut people out just because they have a different point of view. Just because you're a conservative and they're liberal, or you're a liberal and they're conservative, and so on. Um, I'm not saying go out and be friends with everyone. That is not going to happen. I think it's human nature. Some people you will like and some people you won't. It's people I could not be friends with. I've no respect for them, and that's it, right? So maybe I'm a little bit dogmatic about that, but broadly speaking, I try to have a diverse range of people in my life. I think that's healthy. I think it's important. Let me know your thoughts. Thanks for watching.